This is a tutorial about a style of juggling I call Circlespace. It's a style of juggling where you try to explore a larger space with where you throw and where you catch the balls. So before we start, I like to recommend stretching. Make sure your arms and shoulders and everything are nice and stretched out. Okay, so the first exercise is to take a ball and throw it from somewhere along an extended reach. Your arm doesn't need to be all the way extended, but try to throw it back to a normal catching position from all along this half of the circle, including from down low. Over to the side, up high, down, and do that on both sides. So the idea here is to understand the mechanics of what your arm and especially your wrist need to do to flick that ball back. Next exercise is from a normal throwing position to throw a ball out to a point along that same circle. Okay, so then the next step is an extended throw and extended catch. So then from a base pattern of a cascade, we're going to throw a ball out wide to a catching position where your arm is extended and then carry it back. So it'll be a throw out like this, carry it back, and then resume the cascade. So once you think you have that, going to start with the cascade pattern and carry a ball out wide and then throw it back. Usually works best as a reverse cascade throw. So something like this. And then the next step is to combine the two things. From a cascade, we're going to throw out wide and then throw it back. So you're going to catch a ball out to the side, freeze it there, and then throw it back in. Again, usually works best as a reverse cascade to resume the pattern. So a couple variations on this theme. From a cascade, you can establish 4 separate throwing and catching locations, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then sort of do a wide tennis pattern. And another variation is a pattern that looks like this. Where that wide catch and throw is followed immediately by another wide catch and throw to the other side. This is a 5-beat pattern. So a fun thing about that pattern is as your hand is going out wide to catch a ball, it's actually throwing a ball in the other direction, sort of like that. Okay, so now we're going to move on to high catches, and this will be basically the same exercise, but we're going to catch a ball up high and carry it down back into the pattern. And the secret to doing this well is to have a setup catch right before you go up to the high catch that's about shoulder level. So your catching locations will be from normal to shoulder level to up high. And again, you don't have to extend your arm all the way up, with your elbow locked and extending further than comfortable. It's sufficient just to have your arm maybe about this high or slightly over your head. So we'll do that one more time. So the idea is that the balls that are not going up to that high catch are just circulated normally as cascade throws and catches in the regular space. The next step is to carry a ball up to that high position and then throw it back down. Usually it works best to throw it on the outside of the pattern. So that looks something like this. If that's difficult for you, that's okay. It's not really an element that you would do a lot. It's just a good exercise. Then, like before, the third part will combine the high catch with the high throw. So you'll catch it up high, freeze, and then throw it back down. So like before, that setup catch is really important, about right here. So as you're going up to catch that high throw, you'll have previously caught a ball about right here. The next catch is up here, and so that hand, you just sort of have to let go and let the ball fall as you're going up to the high catch. The sequence of catches will be down low, shoulder, high. So once that's comfortable, you can try to do that move a little more continuously. So that might look something like this. That high catch, when you're throwing it back down, you would actually be throwing it to that setup location on the other side, as that other hand is preparing to go up for the catch. So that's a that's a 5-beat pattern. You can think of the side swap still as side swap 3. So 3 3 3 3 3 for that one. And another fun variation is to immediately follow that high catch with a wide catch out to this side, to the other side. As your hand is going up to catch a ball up here, you're sort of going to shoot a ball out wide from this location. It's kind of awkward, but it's a fun pattern. You'll end up with one hand up here, one out wide, and then you'll throw the balls back into a cascade pattern from those locations. Sort of awkward and difficult. I call that one hopscotch. Another thing to think about is catching a ball down as low as you comfortably can. So from a cascade pattern, you sort of drop the floor out of one of the catches, and instead of catching it as you regularly would, catch it even lower. You can also think about dropping the floor out of all of the catches, and instead of juggling up here, juggling the cascade down here at this level. And that will give you a lot more space up above for those higher catches and increasing the contrast. If your base pattern is already high like this, then it's not going to look as good if you were to try to do something up high. So it's better to keep a lower pattern, and that gives you the space. And what we've done so far is side swap 3, more or less, but the same concept applies to any other side swap really. One that I like is a 4-4-1, where the 1 is exchanged up high at the same level as the peak of the force. So that might look like this. You can practice this where you're throwing a 4 on the side. And then putting it together, you can start at this location. Here's Here's another way you can add a simple side swap into this concept of Circlespace. So from a high catch, you can carry that ball back down. If you slowly pull it through the pattern, that could be a side swap too, and your other hand could throw a side swap 4 around it. So that might look like this. And that doesn't have to be a 4-2-3. There's a pattern called Hector's Bisector where you catch up high, pull it through, and immediately throw it back up high to the other hand. With that one, it's an outside throw up to the other hand, and that looks like this. The key here really is that intermediate setup catch location. So that throw really, your hand should be sort of sideways and just let go of the ball as you're reaching up to catch it. So you'll end up having a ball that sort of jumps back and forth like that. For a final pattern I really like, it builds off of that thing where you catch up high and then pull it down in a 4-2-3. So as you're doing that, if you throw the next ball up to a high location, that turns into something that I call Burke's fender. You can break this down into the basic parts. The first step is from a cascade, throwing a ball up high and then looping it around in that 4-2-3. And then the next step is to immediately follow that with a throw up to the same hand. And if you can do that, just keeping it going will give you Burke's fender. Burke's fender is kind of similar to Hector's Bisector because it has a throw that's sort of like this at that shoulder level setup spot. Another option is throwing a ball up high and catching it with the same hand. And when you do that, if you just let go at that intermediate spot and at the high spot and throw everything else underneath, that's what I call the Shapeshifter. And then the hand comes down and claws the ball that you're throwing from underneath. There are a lot of Shapeshifter variations, so you can do that same 4-2-3 pull through from the high location. That looks like that. And you can throw the ball that you're catching up high through the middle of the pattern. That looks like that. If you do that continuously, you can get a fun pattern like that. One Shapeshifter variation I like a lot is just a really simple tennis pattern. Where the ball over the top is shape-shifted. So you can start with this simple shower pattern and keep raising the level of one of your hands. So was the synchronous shower. If you combine that with the Shapeshifter thing, you get a pattern that I call the Chirpypicker. Another exercise is to take a pattern like 4-4-1-3 or even 4-2-3 or box. So something like this, and then migrate it from down low to up high. And it's actually really fun just to randomly transition between 423, 4413, and box. So you can start down low and with random timing or whatever, just try to migrate it up and see what that looks and feels like. Alright, I hope this tutorial was helpful, and I'd be happy to hear any feedback you might have about it.